Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryang karavavahai, tejasvinavadhitamastu, ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Previous session, we have spoken about your mind, and your mind is made to figure things out. And though you're given a range of capacities within the human brain, the highest range of that capacity is to figure out your truth. And most people don't exercise this highest because it does require persistence, dedication, and effort. And so you first have to develop that basic persistence, dedication, and effort through ordinary living. So it's not easy just to go from ordinary living without having developed basic qualities of discipline and then expect spirituality to suddenly, be easy. So therefore, the obstacles that prevent us from ascertaining our truth, we've spoken about are three, according to Krishna's teaching. The first one was psychological fear. And psychological fear is something where we create a future that is unrealistic. So it kind of takes us over, it's understandable. It kind of takes you over and it makes you catastrophize makes you kind of force these images in the mind of something happening. What if I die and I don't have my will written, and who will take care of my house, and what will my children do? How will my body be discovered? So this is a natural, kind of thought that we all have. But if you really think about it for a moment, there are many cases where see something somehow it always works out. So on the basis of that, someone's around you, something happens. So you can just maybe take a moment to see it's not that bad. You will be taken care of. And if you maybe just imagine that for the first day today you were born, as if you're born for the first time ever today. Think about in what way could that change your perception of living, where there's no past at all, you don't have a past, you are born today for the first time ever. And so it makes things a lot easier like this, because now whatever happens tomorrow, you don't have to say, oh God, what did I do, and what's going to happen? You just simply trace it back to your first birth, which is today. And then you say, well, tomorrow will be a reflection of all the things that have taken place today. So it makes life a little bit easier and less stressful and less fearful if you just take it one step at a time, one day at a time, and ask yourself the question, what is it to be done today? What is in my power to control today? There's a prayer by Dayananda. He says, give me the strength, Lord, to let me know what is in my control and not in my control. And may I let go of those things that are not in my control. And may my discipline and focus go more on those things that are in my control. So this is the basic step, recognizing and just offloading the heaviness that a person unnecessarily carries about things they're supposed to control, and yet you really don't have much to say what will happen 5 days from now or 10 days from now. So this can go a long way of just living that life, like strapped bags of worries and concerns for tomorrow, and just unstrapping that and letting it fall off. And so that can feel very, like you can now breathe for the first time. So that's psychological fear, a fear that we create with our minds. So once in a while, we need to stop and say, is this really true? It probably, it may happen, but do I have any real evidence? No. So now let me focus on solution mode. What is to be done now? The second is binding desire. Binding desire is when it, or whatever it is, it kind of grows on you. And you may even call it a passion. So you say, well, it's my passion. But if you really look at your life and you're honest to yourself, brutally honest, you might come to see that it's not a healthy passion. We all have passions, but is it really a healthy passion to the point where it takes you over and it denies you from just being, going out and, having some company and, having some variety in your life, is it really a passion then? You might call it a passion. I remember actually from, if you know, Tiger Woods, the golf player, the whole scandal that took place where his wife divorced him because he had such passion for golf, and he got involved with some other, affairs. But what I wanted to point out is that if you look at anyone brilliant in life, a soccer player or a golf player or anyone brilliant, it may be very admirable, right? You say, wow, how brilliant are they? But in most cases, you'll see that they often lack basic life skills. They may be good in golf or soccer, but basic common sense logic, it's missing. Why? Because I have a binding desire for what I call, quote, my passion. So my passion may not necessarily be a healthy passion. When it's a healthy passion, you're able to let it go and have a normal, generally equanimous life and pursue other things outside your passion. That's a normal, healthy passion. But when it becomes where it just messes up your priorities, robs you of variety and just general, more of an self-expression in different avenues, when it robs you of that, can you really call that an absolutely healthy passion? That's up to you to decide. Otherwise, in Vedanta, we would call that borderline binding desire, a desire that is so kind of holding me down that though I call it, it's a golden chain, I'm being held down by a golden chain, it's still a chain that's holding me down. So therefore, um, what can one do against this or about this? Just analyze your experience, recognize, bring in the big picture, and see there's so much more to life than just one small thing that, I call my passion or my comfort zone. So it goes a long way to have variety in life. And the third one is, we said anger. And anger can manifest in a form of unresolved, unconscious things that are brewing within, and then somebody sort of, presses the right buttons, and then you feel that pang of anger, and that it's very hard to stop that. But when it does come out, that's your perfect chance to look into and say, what might have caused this anger? And how might I respond next time this happens? And this is your perfect golden window of change right after it happens. If you wait 10 minutes or 20 minutes, already the mind is now overtaken by the next moment, and really solving the problem no longer has any relevance. So the best time to solve an issue is when it's irrelevant. What I will often do, and this is my only strategy, in fact, this is a common email, and I will always reply in the same way. They will say, Andre, I, get, whatever, I get ticked off, or I get triggered, or I get, someone's rude to me, and what do I do about this? And I say, look, when you get ticked off or triggered or something happens or get criticized or hurt, it's too late by then. If you don't have something close to you, it's too late by then, because the way that your mind works is it quickly finds the closest comfort, the closest thought that will give it some completion. And that closest thought usually is your old thought that you've thought before. So one of the best things is to have something on you at that moment where you can look at, like on your phone, and look at various ways to perceive a situation. Such as, like on my phone, I will have in an app called Notion, and it will have a thread there called criticized, hurt, question mark. So that means whenever there's a criticism or someone does something unfair, then I'll just immediately open that thread and I'll look at different points. And I will say, for example, the first one will be, remember this person doesn't, have all the facts. And so they're responding from a very limited perspective. And that will immediately introduce, oh, okay, so instead of going, how could they, how dare they, right? I tell you, the mind does this. immediately the mind has now some fallback, some proper scriptural fallback to look at the situation because you helped it. And thus you use these kind of small things like this to help yourself, to get yourself out of this habitual, repetitive thinking whenever something happens that's pleasant or even unpleasant, or both ways. So these three barriers, anger, fear, and binding desires, are these obstacles to ascertaining this truth, even though you're given the right pramana.
There's a saying, no, not my monkey, not my circus. So when someone says or thinks that you're hurt, and then you kind of tell yourself this, and then say, okay, I don't think I should think about it or brood about it anymore. Is something that
Yeah.
I have
Okay, sure.
used that on me
Sure.
when things like this happen.
Okay, so what you're saying is you've used it on you because it works for you. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is the idea. So whatever works for you, and this is why, see, sometimes giving advice, what I do, what you do, it doesn't always work because you're very different than anyone else. Some
Yes.
people
Yes.
have a need just to go to a park or call up a friend, right? So you need to find your own method, and this is what the whole Gita is about. It's not in telling you do this. Rather, Gita is encouraging you to think what works for me to move and navigate this life experience to the best of my abilities, having been given an amazing mind. That's what the Gita wants to show us. That's what a responsible human being is. Okay. Now, having been given these capacities to and the ability to remove them, to acknowledge I have this in me and it's now dominating my mind, and let me uplift myself by myself. Let me help myself. So now, when you come to recognize this, you say, so the Lord really is just there for me all the time until I call him. If I don't call him, then the Lord doesn't respond. And this is what is in verse 11, where Krishna says, the Lord blesses you when you bless yourself. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha.
Those who worship me in whatever way, I bless them in the same way. Partha, Arjuna, people follow my path in all ways.
So I'm going to read from the verse. So people follow my path in all ways, not in one particular way, in all ways, in all paths. So whatever path the people take, it is my path alone. So people follow my path in all ways, in whatever form they worship me. And in that form that they worship me, I bless them. In other words, I appear for them in the form that they worship me. Krishna's statement. What a beautiful statement here. People follow my path in all ways. What people? Every being throughout the universe follows one path alone. In whatever form they worship me, whether they see me as money, I bless them with money. They see me as love, I bless them with love. They see me as the one to be attained, I bless them with that. They see me with having a successful career, I bless them and I appear to them in that successful career. In whatever form they worship me, I bless them in that form. So this means that I appear to all beings as resources, as wealth, as emotions, as knowledge, as power, as everything that possibly can be. And in that form, depending on what you pursue, what you take, what you want from my manifestation, with that I bless you with. In that form, you invoke me, and I bless you in that form. Therefore, whatever you ask, Krishna says, whatever you want, whatever you think is meaningful, according to your discretion, according to one's maturity, of course, according to one's direction in life, or what they desire and what they consider worthy and unworthy, and the kind of education a person has. That's the kind of things you will ask. You can only ask the things as good as your education is. If you don't have a lot of education, you can't really ask a lot. So whatever you ask according to your education, according to what you know, according to what you have ascertained to be worthy of pursuit, that's all you can ask. That means your free will is only as good as how mature you are. If I don't have any education, if I don't think about life, my free will is only going to be as good as sensual pursuits. If I get educated, I'm told there's so much more than just sensual pursuits, then my free will automatically expands. So I bless you. The more you educate yourself and think about life, and more your free will can expand, thus the more things you can ask, the more I can bless you. I can't bless you until you expand. I'm waiting to bless you. I want to expand. I want to bless you with limitlessness. But your free will doesn't desire limitlessness. Therefore, I, says the Lord, am waiting for you to grow up and see there's not much in asking for limited things in this world, so that I can finally bless you with what I was meant to bless you all along since beginningless lifetimes, which is myself, that which is infinite and without parts, which is all pervading. Therefore, whatever you ask, says the Lord, I am obligated to bless you with that. You make the Lord bless you. Lord doesn't just randomly bless people. He feels good today, so I'm going to randomly bless you because it's Christmas or some holiday. You make the Lord bless you through your discretion and slow decisions that culminate through the lifetime. And whenever you ask for limited things from the Lord to bless you with small things, how does the Lord let you know you're not asking for what you were meant to ask? How does the Lord let you know? He disappoints you.
Depends.
What?
Oh.
He disappoints you. He says, okay, you've asked for this and that and this. You want money, you want success. That's fine. It's part of maturity. But I'm going to put a system in to help you. And that system will be pain. And every time through the lifetimes, you will come to see that no matter how much you have gotten to the top of the mountain, there will be pain up there. And that will be your system to keep on seeking until you reach something and there will be no more pain. And that's how you will know you have reached the highest, because there will be no more pain after that. That's the Lord speaking to everyone. Oh, Lord, talk to me. He's talking to you all the time because he's all pervasive and he's blessing everyone all the time. If you want the Lord in a form of, say, biceps, let's say on the left arm, I want Lord in a form of biceps. And then you just only exercise the left arm. Now, big bicep. Okay. Now you say, oh, I love my biceps. What you're really saying is, I love the Lord in a form of biceps. But what you really wanted, you didn't really want big biceps, did you? Or beauty, or whatever, just youth. You wanted freedom from being subjected to youthfulness and old age, freedom from smallness of big biceps. I can't stand small biceps, so what will I do? I can't stand. I want freedom from small biceps. So what will I do? I will go and exercise and get big biceps. Of course, the Lord then says there's even more to that. You see, there's two paths that everyone in the world pursues: pravrti and nivrti. Pravrti says that this is how all pursue things. They say, I have a desire, I am incomplete, and I don't feel fulfilled. And so what I will do is I will get an object that I believe will fill me up. And this is how we're all taught. This is how the society has conditioned us. And so the natural thing is, okay, I want big biceps, so go and get biceps. I want, fame, so go and get fame. I want whatever, so go and get whatever. That's the first path, pravrti. But what the Veda says, you don't actually want this. You don't want to be just running after things all your life just to feel that temporary relief from sense of smallness. What you want is nivrti, where I want freedom from desire. Think about this. I want freedom from desire to have to do something to be big. I want freedom from desire of being turned on by every single man or woman that I see. I want freedom from desire of having to become someone so that I can experience myself as a worthy existential being. I want freedom from desire of having to constantly pursue desires. I want freedom from this being who can never stop pursuing desires. I want freedom from that being. That's what you are really looking for. Path of nivrti. I don't want to be subject to a constant chasing of desires just so that I can enjoy myself as someone that is already okay right now. What you want really freedom from is the being who has a constant need to do something, to be someone, to have bigger thoughts about oneself so that they can enjoy themselves as a worthy being in this universe. And that's very tiresome after some time, having to think I'm a bigger being, I'm a better being, I'm desired, I'm special, I'm unique, I'm important. It gets very tiring to think like this for some years. And then you come finally, you drop, you fall from the fantasy, the emotional tree of fantasy, you fall down to the ground of truth. And the fall always hurts, but it's necessary. And now I say, I didn't want to pursue fantasy. What I wanted is freedom from fantasy. What I wanted is here and now, because the Lord is here and now. And this Lord here and now, how does he manifest? He manifests as 6 qualities. And the word Bhagavan, I'll change from Ishvara into Bhagavan now. It's another name for the Lord in Sanskrit. And the word Bhagavan comes from the root bhaj, B-H-A-J. And bhaj means to possess. And so he possesses 6 qualities. And everyone, as we will see, is pursuing these 6 qualities. The first is power, Shakti. So the Lord is in a form of the power. So in other words, he is the one that sustains this universe, from which the universe comes, and which holds everything together. He holds the earth in orbit. He makes the sun burn for billions of years. He builds galaxies and solar systems and planets. He sustains evolution from amoeba to worm to monkey to human being. All power that we ever seek, power in the form of being someone, power of being strong, power of feeling that sense of power in control, all of that, you're really just pursuing the Lord, because he is the source of all power. So whatever power you ever wanted, power to levitate, power to be invisible, and all these superhero powers that they have, this is one thing. But power to feel powerful, What you really want is, I want the Lord, because he's the source of all power. And then dharma, he is the source of all righteousness. He is the ground of moral order, the moral order that never deviates from the truth. The moral order that every one of us depends on desperately to have a measuring stick, what is the right thing to do and what is not to be done. He's the one that retains his truthfulness when all of us have gone astray. When the world doesn't know what is the right thing to be done, the moral order still survives and shines in everyone's buddhi. And that moral order is he's the embodiment of that moral order. So when we say, let's live a life of harmony and ethics, what you are really saying is, let's align to the Lord, because he is the source of that harmony that makes us all move and tick and get along and grow and ultimately reach him. Glory, this is number 3. Yashaha, glory. Bhagavan, we celebrate him in all forms of glory, in a form of objects, in a form of aspirations, in a form of qualities, brilliant qualities in people. Did you ever notice that the way that attraction works between female and male is that it's always an attraction towards a quality that they have, some quality that you admire, that you fancy, that infatuates you, that draws you, that you admire. It's always a quality or two. It could be a physical quality, it could be a spiritual quality, it could be an emotional quality, it could be an intellectual quality, but all qualities that you ever admired were none other than Bhagavan's. So what were you always ever admiring through other people that you found attractive? You were admiring Bhagavan through that person, because all qualities, all aspirations, all glories, all brilliance is his alone. And then prosperity, Shri, he is the wealth that we all desire, the inner wealth, the spiritual wealth, the physical wealth, the material wealth, the auspiciousness that we all, that we all want in our life, the fullness, the richness in life, that whole, I'm rich in being, I'm rich in emotion, I'm rich in intellect. All of that is his alone. Prosperity, that's success. All success you've ever been looking for, you've always been ever looking for Bhagavan. Silicon Valley success, Bhagavan Valley success. AI success, AI Bhagavan success. Everything, we are only seeking him alone, that which is the most delicious, the most precious, the most treasured. He is in the form of, number 5, knowledge, jnana. He is the omniscient one, the one who possesses complete knowledge of the past, present, and future. All that ever will be, can be, is possible. Everything that ever is right now is from him alone. All knowledge that we yearn for, I desire knowledge. If you are one of those types that just desires, you value knowledge. I value knowledge. What are you valuing? You are valuing Bhagavan. And so all forms of knowledge, all forms of areas that we study, it is his knowledge. We are studying Bhagavan, various forms of him. And finally, dispassion. Though he is everything, he is unaffected from the world. He's unaffected by the world. He is, despite being the creator and the sustainer, he's unaffected by what he creates and what he sustains. Why? Why is he unaffected? Because if you are the only being that is, if all that is here is Ishvara, how can you be affected? To be affected means there's a second being. One being is affecting another being. If all that is here is one, then what is to affect something else? So him being the only principle, the only existence that is, even now, how can you have attachment towards yourself if you are yourself? Do you have attachment towards your arm? Does someone crave their arm? No, you only get attached to things that you believe are outside of you. But if you're the whole thing, how can you be attached to your own self if you are that one self? Thus, it says here again, everyone is only ever worshiping me, the capital me, the Lord, which is none other than yourself, because you already know if Krishna is referring to the word me as Ishwar, as intelligence, that intelligence through a Satya-Mithya relationship depends on awareness. So it's only ever worshiping yourself. So what are you only ever seeking in life? What is the most delicious thing ever? You. So many expressions of yourself. How do you understand what, quote, whatever form they worship me? How do you understand that? Whatever form they worship me. What does that mean for you?
Ultimately, everything is the me, the Ishwara. So some people might be worshipping it in the form of a Ferrari or chocolate or whatever, and they might not understand what they're really trying to achieve. But ultimately, what they're seeking is that peace and fullness of the Ishwara.
To me, it means that you get what you desire. You cannot get what you don't desire.
Beautiful. Short to the crux.
There's another popular saying that's you reap what you sow. So if you desire money, you get money. If you desire misery, you're going to get misery. If you desire moksha, you're going to get moksha.
It's so simple, isn't it? Therefore, you cannot say now the Ferrari or the chocolate is higher or lower or harder and easier than moksha. They're all equally relatively hard to obtain, believe it or not. For some people, chocolate is even hard to obtain. Moksha becomes easier, as we will see in the following verses. Rani?
Yeah, it is true that what we desire, we get from Ishvara. But at the same time, the desires, we also have to accept the consequences of the desires and the cause and the effects of the desires.
Yeah.
So we could be hurting 10 people to get one desire. So we have to accept that too. That's also Ishvara.
That's Ishwara's feedback, letting you know that things need to change. But you cannot cheat Ishwara's system, even if you justify it and say, no, this is okay. There's always an inner voice saying there's a red flag here. But then the belief system says, no, I really want to believe that there's hope. And so this belief, this hope for the bright future, it keeps on overriding these red flags that are speaking. There's never a time when a person doesn't recognize these red flags. And then finally, when they break, and they write you an email expressing their honesty, they'll say, I just didn't have it in me. There were these red flags all along, but I chose to ignore them because I was in love. I was covered by emotion. I was covered by hope and desire. But in Bhagavan's world, no delusion can last. Truth triumphs. So every delusion ultimately pops. Every fantasy pops. Everything that is unsustainable is unsustainable. That's why it doesn't last. What does seeking biceps for you, or whatever it is, body-wise, knowledge-wise, career-wise, what are you actually seeking when you want something?
Freedom from the small I that you think that thing offers you to complete you.
What do you actually want when you're desiring something? What's really going on behind the scenes?
You're unhappy with yourself,
Yeah.
looking for this, some kind of happiness or satisfaction.
You can't stand that small self.
You want fullness, except most of us don't know that that's what we want. So we think that a big bicep will do.
Actually, that's good. Actually, at the same time, you do know. Otherwise, you wouldn't be constantly looking for one more fullness. So both I don't know, but I also do know. The very act of seeking for that fullness through 10 million things itself shows you that I must be already in touch with that fullness, because you only seek what you are. You never seek what you're not. And therefore, since every new thing only satisfies me a little bit, what do? I continue moving in the direction of who I am, which is fullness. Now, why do people do not seek the whole of Ishvara, but partial? Verse 12. Kangshantah karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha kshipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja.
Desiring the result of actions here in this world, they worship different deities. For in the human world, results born of action comes very quickly.
So again, desiring results of actions, they, that is people, worship deities. Now, deities, the word here is anything that's important to you. See, we can now go two ways with this. Deity, angels, Indra, whoever you want to talk about. But, making it practical, deity is something that, like gods with a plural, that's something that you precious. So money is a god, success is a god. They're deities. So deities are mini gods. And that person worships these deities. That means they worship immediate pleasure deity, money deity, success deity. And by the way, there's no elephant in the room saying something's wrong with this. Nothing's wrong with this. This is just how it is, what people are doing. They're worshiping small deities. And why is that? Is it because Ishvara is withholding the whole himself to you? Or because you're just worshiping small deities? Ishvara is not withholding himself as a whole from anyone. Ishvara is always the whole. So therefore, what is it then that makes me not pursue the whole, but makes me pursue mini Ishvaras called deities? What is that? There must be a reason. If I will get infinity, why do I not pursue infinity? Pankaj?
What I feel is because I do not know that I can get infinity. My desires are limited. My missions are limited. My ambition is limited. I have a very narrow field of view. Nobody, you need a guru or somebody who can broaden it. Unless it is broadened, it will never happen.
It will never happen. It can't happen because you just don't know what you don't know.
I think it's pretty similar to what Pankaj said, but basically because you can't see infinity. All you can see is the bicep, the Ferrari, the money. So you don't even know that infinity exists.
You see? So this is very important. It means that you cannot now judge anyone for pursuing a Ferrari or chocolate. It's not fair. Because there's no law from the top saying stop. It's just you only see forms around you. So this means it helps us to remove this idea of, this whole comparison, they're so lost souls, that kind of thing. So this has to leave. And also, you have to admit that everyone, including you and I, we prefer quick and expedient results over hard, laborious, long-term, not immediately gratifying, sometimes painful approach. We all prefer immediately and gratifying. We all do. So this is why people choose immediately and gratifying. They choose small deities. And furthermore, you got self issues. Some people even say, I don't deserve the Lord. You know this? I don't deserve him because I'm a bad person. I've done wrong. You see, so this is a self-esteem issue. It's an issue belonging to one person, not to everyone. So now one has to get their self-esteem in order to even have an idea of pursuing Bhagavan. They have binding desires holding them down deep because of the cultural pressures. You need to be someone. You need to be beautiful. You need to be out there. You need to have TikTok and videos and Instagram and put yourself out there and be someone and show off. You need to all that. Okay, I'll do that to be someone. Path of least resistance. We all like the path of least resistance. I don't want to put a lot of work into it. Just give me something that's not too hard, no thinking. No, please, just give me emotion, because you don't have to think much in emotion. Emotion is given, it's automatic. Who tries hard to cry? Who tries hard to feel happiness or an emotion? Who tries hard? No, you just see something terrible, boom, emotion instant, it's easy. But to think, that requires effort. Anything that requires effort is never popular.
Could it also be that there's like a lack of, or it's difficult to surrender completely and trust in seeking absolute truth? Because I think in my case, for example, I do know that what I'm really seeking is to be free, but I find myself still, if I don't know, I meet someone and then I'm like, oh, they're cute. And then my mind for a few days is caught on that. And I'm like, but that's not really what I'm aware that that's not what I really want. But then I think, maybe the reason that we continue to pursue things or other desires isn't only because of our ignorance. In some cases, it's an ignorance of not knowing that there's what we're really seeking is something bigger. But when you do know that what you're seeking is something really bigger and you still go down that other path, it's like you said, the path of least resistance. And also it's not familiar to us what seeking truth is, what that pleasure actually, that true bliss actually is. We don't know. It's because everything's relative. So what we have derived pleasure from, we do know. So I think that in my case, I still seek those things.
Yeah,
because it's familiar.
And of course, good, you pointed this out. And again, not for a moment. See, the teacher now says you shouldn't seek those things. How will you instantly respond silently? Even if you don't reply back, you will say, okay, yeah, just to satisfy the teacher. But inside you will know that I'm not going to follow through, because as a human being with a human heart, you have a need to go out and pursue things that you find pleasurable, right? That's normal. That's a human experience. So see, in this example, not that you shouldn't, forget about this advice, you shouldn't or you should. This doesn't ever work. Just slowly, we come to see what is really important. And while seeing what's really important, I continue my life as normal. It's that simple. Look at that. It's that simple. While keeping my eye on what's important, still go and indulge and do whatever you want. It's that simple. Isn't that beautiful? Instead of stop doing what you're doing and only focus on this. It never works like that. And it's too black or white. That's not how life works. It's very simple. Whatever you're doing right now, even if you think it's not healthy, go and do that. Continue, because that is who you are as a person. But keep your eye on the truth. And slowly, these notions these distortions start to get untangled. You start to see the limitations of these other things in the world. And slowly, 5 years later from now on, you find yourself much wiser than 5 years ago. Isn't this true? How wiser are we all now than 5 years ago? Can you feel that? Wisdom? 5 years? Yeah, me too. A lot, like exponential growth. So just imagine, slowly, we keep this conversation up. How will the next 5 years be? That's what a quantum jump means. So it's not fair onto any one of us to say, I'm not good, I will never move forward, I will never, these issues, I keep on relapsing, I keep on going back. It's not fair onto yourself. It's very simple. Keep your eye on the truth, consistency, even though it is hard, even just to come online, right? Weekly, even that's hard. But slowly, you transform. This is how it is. This is the message of the Lord. Very gentle upon yourself. And you're right. Despite knowing what is the right thing to be done, desires still push you. We said this last week because they're very palpable, very tangible. And so anything tangible, it's a lot more relatable. It's something that's very subtle. Like if I tell you, you are the attributeless, your consciousness, you're like, what is consciousness? But if I give you a lollipop, you're like, yep, I can relate to a lollipop. It's at least tasty. So you have to give yourself some break, that this is how the human mind works. And so there's a gentleness approach upon yourself and trust in oneself that I can persist in this journey, and I will persist in this journey, because that is the message that we're all given. And we know it works. Why? Because there are those before us, wise, who have persisted, and they have gone through astronomical, exponential growth, and they have removed their ignorance. And having removed their ignorance, their journey stopped completely. And any teacher will attest to the same. So it's possible for you. It's possible for everyone. So what's the only limit? There's no limit. It's your self-imposed limitations. I can't. I want. I'm not good enough. Stop. I can. I will. I can and I will. That's my favorite mantra. I can and I will. You don't have to be given this special mantra, you know, oh, Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. It's so meaningless. Suppose I give you a secret guru mantra and I whisper to your ear, Aham Brahmasmi. Just keep on repeating, you're like, Aham Brahmas. You don't know what the word Aham means, what the word Brahman means, what the word Asmi means. It's just a random sounding gargle of words, sounds. But if you make it relatable, something where you're at, right? Where am I at? Okay, I need some boost in my, you know, ability just to believe in myself. That's your mantra. A self-believing mantra. That's your mantra. I can and I will. You know, I was given once a mantra by the hugging saint. You know, she hugs you and she whispers a mantra in your ear. And I was 24, so didn't know very much. And so very gullible, very innocent, you know, you fall for anything. Anyone gives you something, you think, this is it. I'm not going to get enlightened because I'm getting a mantra. And she hugged me, almost squeezed me so hard, I almost broke my neck. Okay, this is too hard of a hug. Because, you know, you got a whole line of people and you're like, next, next. So she told me, Aham Brahmasmi. She said that twice. And I went home going, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi. Just keep on repeating. And yeah, it didn't do anything. I gave it up and I found a guru. But that's what we mean. You know, instead of following these these paths of randomness, you ask yourself, is this relevant to me? Forget about what the guru has said. Where am I? Isn't this true? What really matters is where you're at. And just using this knowledge to help you navigate your journey. That's what it's about. Who is a guru to tell you what to do? Seriously, who are they? They've got their own life. They got their own beliefs. They got their own systems. They got their own culture. Who is anyone to tell you where you should be?
I wholeheartedly agree. Definitely.
Yeah. The guru simply points out what is healthy, and then you decide what is healthy for you. The guru doesn't tell you, this is healthy, therefore pursue that. He just points out, or she points out, here's the vision of oneness. While you're listening, you're going, okay, this makes sense. This is much more effective than my current ways of looking at things. So I might take this on. This is how it works. And slowly, you find yourself completely drowned in this knowledge because it's like it just works. And you find your life just growing and expanding. You're like, oh my God, this is what it's about. It's always been about this. This knowledge is just true, evergreen, and it doesn't damage anyone. It just helps me. And you figure that out for yourself. That's when it's really powerful. So who decides whether you eat with a golden spoon or a rusty spoon. Does the Lord decide that? No, you decide that. There's no God doing things unto me. There's no God that's, favoring me or not favoring me. God that is compassionate, God that is, punishing me. You are punishing yourself. You're rewarding yourself. He is just a karma paladata. He just provides whatever you have been asking on a consistent basis. It's that simple. That's why I started out this session earlier. Imagine you were born for the first time ever today. Then whatever happens tomorrow, it's not a surprise anymore, is it? It makes total sense now. Oh, tomorrow is because of today. What I've done today that's what I'm getting tomorrow. So in that same way, if you start to look at your life as just a reflection of the things that you have done, it's wonderful because now you say, so what? What can I do with what I've got? Let's make the best of what I've got today. That's the way to live. One could live, making the best of what you have today. And the Lord simply writes out that script. He's the one that's writing out the chapter. This is the Lord. Look at this. You're saying, okay, I think I want a car. And then the Lord writes chapter 1. He wanted a car today. I gave him a car, full stop. And then you go, I want a house. Then he wanted a house. I want to make, how will I make the money? I'm going to be a CEO. Then he's going to be a CEO. He was a CEO, full stop. And then you say, I think I want moksha. He finally asked for the right thing, full stop. What will happen? We're yet to see, full stop. Who will I find? Let's go to this guru. Then he went to this guru, and this happened, full stop. And what will I ask? What kind of questions will I ask? Okay, I will ask the right questions. What's the meaning of life? And so on. He asked, what's the meaning of life? And this happened. And then the guru answered him. This is it. Lord is writing out your script. But who's telling him what script to write? You are. He is a karma paladata. The jiva is the cause. Ishvara is the effect. It's that simple. You are the one that's creating the causes. Ishvara is the one that's writing out the script, the effects in your life. It's that simple. So this means knowing that Lord is not here to punish you or to be compassionate towards you. What does this mean in real life? It means that I can drop this whole thing of taking it personally. I don't have to be angry at some Lord anymore. Rather say, this has happened. Now what? Let's make the best of what I've got and solve the problem. You become a problem solver rather than a victim. Why me? I'm not meant to be successful. Why me? This is terrible disease of victimhood. So the victimhood disease goes away and you simply own up. The power has been in my hands all along. And the Lord is just writing out that script based on what the requests that I make every single day. That's what the Lord writes out in my chapter. So there's no pre-written script for you. No one has right now tomorrow's script written. But the tomorrow script is being written by whom? By the person of today. Therefore, you author your own book. You really do create your own life.
I have a question. What do we say about this theory of law of karma and predestiny? Because if everything, so there is slight conflict between these two things.
Okay, so the question is, or the statement is, there's a conflict between what is going to work out, that is destiny, we call it prarabdha, and my free will, my purushartha. Okay, so, and there seems to be a conflict. There is not a conflict. I'll explain why. The reason is because let's just remove one variable out. Let's remove free will out. And we'll just go along with destiny. It is true, isn't it? That your life is constantly just happening, isn't it? It's happening. That's one way to describe it. It's just happening. Every day is happening. Something happens. Can you stop that happening? No. So that happening is called destiny. Okay. Now let's put that aside. Suppose that is not there at all. Let's just bring in free will, the ability to make decisions, the ability to say no or yes to opportunities, the ability to change how will I do things differently as opposed to yesterday. Just kind of refining my responses. Is that true? Do you have that? You have that. We all have that. We're all applying that every day. Okay. So what is, for example, if I, say, if I, hug you today, right? And then tomorrow, your relationship and my relationship will be a little bit different because I hugged you today, right? We're so happy. I'm so happy to see you. Come to my house. Let's have a nice dinner. So tomorrow I see you again. There will be kind of that reflection. Yeah, yesterday I saw you. Yesterday we were all pleasant. So this means there's a certain carryover, isn't there? So that carryover that has been written, why is that carryover there? Because of the way that I treated you. So it's true, there is a destiny of tomorrow, but that destiny has modified itself depending on how I treated you today. Therefore, what happens? My free will affects destiny. And furthermore, what you do on a daily basis also can cancel out destiny's hits or slaps tomorrow. Suppose today I work on myself and I recognize that, it's not personal. When Ishvara delivers me a slap called destiny, it's not personal. It's because of some other causes in the past. So now suppose you take the free will to understand that today, and tomorrow you get slapped. That's called destiny. How will you treat that slap tomorrow now that you have gone through and brought this knowledge that it's not personal? How will you treat that destiny tomorrow? Very different than if you didn't use the time, your free will today, and think about it's not personal. It's just an impersonal order that has to return corresponding results. That's how it is. If this order wasn't true, there will be no way to tell what's the right way to evolve. This order is a measuring stick. It tells everyone whether I'm on the right track or not. So this order, being true for all, it has to return corresponding results. If it didn't, how would anyone grow? How would anyone evolve? It would be impossible. I wouldn't know whether cutting myself, my body, is the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. Imagine that. You don't know what consequences, speaking to someone in a derogatory manner, you can't differentiate that because there's no measuring stick saying don't do that. Imagine what that would be like. But it's there for everyone. And because it's there, you're able to then exercise your free will and align your free will to what is the right thing to be done. What's the right way of conduct? And that conduct is the very mentality, the very mindset that you will carry over tomorrow and handle those slaps in a much more composed, equanimous, samatwamish way that Krishna keeps on talking about. Therefore, both. There is free will and there is also destiny. Free will is stronger than destiny. It cancels out the way that destiny is interpreted. It doesn't cancel out, it doesn't negate destiny, but it modifies how destiny is interpreted by you. Whether I'm a victim or whether this has happened, it's unfortunate, what's next? That is up to you. So you can't stop destiny because it will happen, whether you like it or not. But where is your locus of control? It's in my interpretation of what is happening to me on a daily basis. It's not about what has happened to me or what will happen to me. It's about what I do with what is happening to me. What do I interpret and how do I interpret with what is happening to me? That's where your locus of control is. So what happens to you? So what? It's going to happen to you anyway.
Yeah, you know about free will, but we're kind of born and then we're given all these habitual patterns through parents and school, which are so deeply entrenched within you that you're lucky if you even work it out by the time you're 20 or 30, and often later than that, that you're just suffering due to repetitive behavior. Then you've got like the pervasive collective social attitude and norms, like wear a mask or have protein or whatever. So I don't know about like how much free will I or we actually have. And also then like you know, say you're hungry and you want something sugary, is that even you, or is that your microbiome in the gut? Like, is it not just a myth, free will? I don't know. Like, I just
very
do
good.
what I do, but I have no idea why I do it. And lastly, when you try and deconstruct it, you then get guilt or patterns, or when you get an insight, it's like you have to reflect back on everything. And it's really hard to know what we're saying before, like whether you buy the house or find a partner, or how do you even know?
Got it. Excellent question. Who was it? She showed me a video of a woman, and she said, imagine that, you know, you see the sun, right, rising. Not you have to imagine, you see the sun rising and setting, right? And so this is your reality. The sun is rising and setting. And there are the debates going on, you know, philosophers. Is it really setting? Is it really rising? Is this, you know, maybe it's not. And one day they discover, no, the sun is not rising and setting, it's the earth that's revolving. And you know, oh, okay. And then someone asks, so now that we know this, what difference does it make in our lives? Now that we know that free will is there or free will is not, what difference does it make to your life? You still have to make decisions. You still have to live out your life. You still have to uplift yourself out of misery. You still have to find the truth. What difference does it make if there's free will or not? You still got to do what you got to do. When there is something that's pulling you down, you still have to uplift yourself out of that. What difference does it make? That's the first answer. The second answer is yes, past conditioning seems like it does influence the kind of decisions you make. And this is the basis of the discussion. This is the basis of the debate. There is no free will because you only make decisions based on the kind of habits you've made before. That's the basis of discussion. The answer is yes, but at the same time, no. Because every situation demands a different response. Therefore, you're required to take a new, fresh perspective every single time. So that's going to, so the mere new situationness forces you to exercise free will in a brand new way that you have never exercised before. This is why exposing yourself to new situations is so important. If the person remains in one single place, one single environment, and they don't move, they don't have variety in life, then their free will always be one and the same. But the moment you force yourself out in a brand new situation, a brand new argument, a brand new negotiation, a brand new person, now you're forced to think differently and therefore exercise new choices you haven't exercised before and violate your previous value system and conditionalities and societal methods that you have learned from.
Andre, if Ishvara knows all past, present, and future, how can there be free will?
Excellent, excellent. So no, you've interpreted that in a different context. I did not mean I know what's going to happen tomorrow. That's a totally different word, know. When I said no, cancel this out. This comes from science. This is, or the atheists will use this this debate. Oh, so Ishvara therefore knows. That means I know what's going to happen to Andre tomorrow, and therefore Andre has no real free will, right? The word know is the word jnanam. Jnana means blueprint of how things work. How things are supposed to work. Like, how is the heart going to function? How is the hand going to function? How will things of tomorrow, how will that tree grow? How will, you know, the vocal cords work? In that sense, the word know of all knowledge. He's the omniscient one. Not as in, I know what's going to happen tomorrow. If Ishvara came right now, an embodiment of Ishvara, imagine, and I ask Ishvara, Krishna, what's going to happen tomorrow? What will Krishna say? I have no idea. I have no idea. I am as clueless as you are, because there is only now. There's no tomorrow. And now is a constant unfoldment of the very causes that happened just a millisecond ago. Ishvara has no idea. So in other words, the field is constantly changing and modifying itself depending on the causes and effect relationships that are constantly happening at every single millisecond in the now.
So it goes back to that idea that of infinity, that all possibilities are open.
All possibilities are right now unfolding constantly based on all of the causes that happened in the quote past. Okay, so he says in the second line, results of actions come very quickly. Okay, to whom do they come quickly? Well, to the one who is endowed this ability to make a choice in their life, a human being. So possibilities, as we said, are given to you. And those possibilities you can collapse. The word collapse means you can put effort into it and manifest it, bring it into your life. So you can collapse these possibilities. How quickly? According to Krishna, results of action comes very quickly. You want a Ferrari, chocolate, moksha? It doesn't matter. It's just one of the many possibilities. There's no more or less. It's a possibility. If you're dedicated towards moksha, it's easier than going to the store and getting a chewing gum. You know why? Because moksha is who you are. Chewing gum requires you to walk into the car and go to the shop. That's a lot of work. Moksha is a simple recognition of what is true here and now. It's something that you already have. Do you have the chewing gum? The chewing gum you don't have. The chewing gum is even more effort. Moksha, awareness, it's not like I don't have awareness. Can anyone say that? You don't have awareness? Go ahead, please say this. I don't have awareness, Andre. That will be the biggest contradictory statement ever made. You already have what you are. Therefore, it's the easiest thing to get. It's easier than a chewing gum. So, with dedication and focus, results come very quickly. This means the result of the infinite or the result of the finite is equally gained by you quickly. And what is the only thing that's stopping us? Self-imposed limitations. That is something in your control. You can say to the mind, no, stop. Stop this voice that I can't. I can, and I will. Not next lifetime, this lifetime. You ever hear this voice? Oh, you know, it's going to happen for me next lifetime. Happens. This is a self-imposed limitation. Stop this nonsense. You've been saying this for every single lifetime. That's why you're saying in this lifetime too. Every lifetime. Oh, next lifetime. Or here I am again. Next lifetime. When will the person say, no, stop, this lifetime? That's it. That's called taking control of your life, taking control. And what happens? We said earlier, whatever you ask, I will give you. I will bless you with that. You ask for moksha, I will bless you with that. So now what's your excuse? Does anyone have an excuse why I can't get moksha? To whom do these results come quickly? And then Krishna answers to the fourfold types of people. Verse 13. Chatur varnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam.
The fourfold grouping of people, a division based on duties and qualities, was created by me. Even though I am its author, know me to be a non-doer, ever changeless.
So to whom do these results come quickly? To the four groupings of people. And he calls this the Chatur Varnyam, the fourfold grouping. The Varna system. Varna means the strength that you come in terms of what you're good at, what's natural for you. That's Varna. And before I say this, it's not only relative, it's not only here in the Veda, you've got so many grouping systems in psychology. You have the archetype systems, you have the you know, the mechanic, the warrior, the savior, right? So these are just models. Look at them as models. And this is the Varna system model. The first of these types is an intellectual, is a Brahmana. And who is a Brahmana? They value information. They're good with information. They're engaged in sciences, in forms of research, in the forms of their philosophy. They like philosophy. They like they are able to bring things together, and so their mind is kind of this knowledge-friendly mind, knowledge inquirous mind, a scholarly mind. Can anyone relate to that? You were maybe always this scholarly, you know, maybe an intellectual type. It was just natural to you. Yeah, this is it, a Brahmana. The second is a ruler or a protector. In modern language, this would be more like army, navy, police, the political body, you know, anyone who protects. So these are the Kshatriyas, the Brahmana, the intellectuals. The Kshatriyas is the rulers and the protectors. Not just rulers, not rulers in a bad sense, but the ones who maintain society. The governing body is a ruler and a protector. The third is the traders, the merchants, or the entrepreneurs. So these are called the money movers. Anyone who provides a service or a product with a value and then asks for your money. This is an entrepreneur, a business person, a trader, a merchant. They make the world go round. Entrepreneurs. They discuss money. They're passionate about it. Silicon Valley, business, CEOs, right? So many in this group alone. I call them the money movers. And finally, the supporters, the Shudra. Shudra, the supporters. These are the assistants, the workers, anyone who supports the infrastructure on the roads, the general workers. I'm going to work. Who are you? I'm a worker. Shudra, workers, or supporters. That's a nice word, supporters. Now, every society, could you say that society is this only applies to one country? No way. Every society needs all these four to work. And can you now, based on this, can you kind of put someone higher? Can you kind of give this a higher or a lower system? It doesn't make sense. Because if you have an intellectual who is on open land without border patrol, then what's going to happen? Someone's going to enter your country. Now you've got immigrants flooding in, and due to the human's darker nature to always expand sovereignty, more land, now they kick you out of your house. Where's the intellectual now? We can't say this is a higher or lower system. It is a system that you can find anywhere. You've got royals. You've got the, you know, middle class. You've got the upper class. You've got the nobility. This is the Western system. You see? So you cannot say that this is pertinent just to Bharata. It's an international, global system. It's simple as that. Now, of course, those in India living, you will know that this has been turned, like it always does, into what? A sort of a, you know, what, a business, a partnership, finding, you know, little tick. I'm a Brahmana, therefore only Brahmanas. Hey, so look at this. Suppose you're a Brahmana, okay? And you really just want someone down to earth who is a supporter, a Shudra. Should you be denied to that? Should you be denied? No, because that's what you genuinely need for growth. And they generally need a Brahmana. That's how you uplift the society. If you want Brahmana for a Brahmana, okay. But Brahmana for a Shudra, why not? They're just human beings. They both think. They both have aspirations. They can both have aspiration for moksha. So where's this whole thing about, you know, marking who's this, who's that? It doesn't work like that. But of course, the moment you popularize anything, including this system, it all just gets messed up, as it always does.
It's like the four pillars of a table.
Exactly. Or a chair. Take one pillar out, they're all are toast.
You cannot do one without the other.
Yeah, exactly.
I recognize all four in one person.
Exactly.
You know, so I've seen this many, many times. Intellectual also has to play a role of being a worker, being, a money maker, whatever. It's all in there. So
Excellent.
each one of us actually play each role in various percentage of our days or our time on earth.
That's a wonderful way to look at it. So in other words, see, Lord is really just saying, I built 4 types of roles you can play. He doesn't have to say 4 kinds of people. I've built 4 types of roles that we all play. Sometimes we're a worker. Sometimes we have to protect our family. Sometimes we have to engage in thinking money and merchant and value for value exchange. Sometimes you have to think, so on. The question now is, what determines your varna? So when I say varna again, something that's natural to you. Some of us are natural entrepreneurs. Some of us are natural thinkers. So what determines what's natural to you? The first is your karma that you don't know. That's why you have people born, and that's their disposition. You're naturally good at thinking. You're an intellectual. You're just like this person who has a need to protect, or just a supporter. You listen to people and they feel comfortable. Your karma, your past causes. The second is what's called the guna system. Now, guna system, when the word guna is used in reference to the human being, it always means very simple, human psychology. The guna is a modern word of guna is your inner psychology. So if your inner psychology is effective, we call that you have sattva guna. If your inner psychology is not effective, we call that you got tamaguna. So now what do you have to do? You have to uplift your inner psychology by working through things, by clearing out distortions, and you have to uplift yourself into effective psychology. We call that in the Vedas into sattva guna. So the model that the Veda uses is the 3 gunas. The first is sattva. So sattva, if your mind is in sattva guna, what kind of a mind do you have? It's contemplative, thoughtful, inquirous, patient. If your mind is in rajaguna, it's ambitious, forward-moving, energetic, let's get things done, even a little bit selfish, but it still gets things done. If your mind is in tamaguna, it's tired, it's blurry. You know those moments when we have like, I can't think straight today? That's tamaguna. Lethargy, sleepiness, laziness, that's all tamaguna. So again, it's just a model. There are better models than the 3 gunas, much more accurate psychological models, but because today in the complex world of personalities, you need a little bit more detail, but this is good enough. This 3 guna model is great, and it's evergreen. So suppose you have a sattva guna thinker. What is a sattva guna thinker? Suppose you're a brahmana, you're a thinker, and your brahmana, your varna is sattva guna. What will you do with that? You will share your knowledge to uplift others. So the kind of, suppose a doctor is also a brahmana. Suppose a doctor, what's the best kind of a doctor? Did you ever go to a doctor who just, what's the problem? Here. You go to that kind of a doctor? I did. As opposed to a doctor who listens to you genuinely and is concerned about you. You see how the guna system changes the brahmana? If they're in a tamasic mode, the brahmana will just sort of here. If the brahmana is in a more of a sattvic mode, what will they do? I care about you. What's the problem? I will reach out and help. What about a kshatriya, a protector? What's the best kind of a kshatriya? The best kind is the one that will sacrifice their own reputation to innovate the society, to protect the society. They will sacrifice themselves or their own reputation. What about another kind of kshatriya, more kind of tamasic, rajasic? Well, I will change some policies as long as I get more votes. That's more rajaguna, kshatriya. What about rajas? What will you, if your mind is dominated by rajaguna, what will you do with that knowledge? in your mind. You will use it for your own purposes. Suppose there's a cancer research. Suppose you're a Brahmana and you're working as, cancer research, and you're working with a team, and your mind's Rajasic, and you go, boom, I found a cure. Instead of reporting it to your team, what will I do? I will go and secretly publish the report so that I can get the fame. That's Rajaguna working in the background. Now, suppose you're a Brahmana and you got Tamaguna. What will you do with that information? You will use it to create fear in others. I will change the facts, manipulate the facts to get the better of them. I will control them by changing information. This is called misinformation. You see this? One varna, Brahmana, depending on what guna, is how they act in this world. So therefore, what do you do? And what is the whole goal of this? It is to elevate your varna to sattva guna. Just because you're born a kshatriya or a brahmana or a shudra, it doesn't mean you will stay there. It means nothing. You have to elevate it through self-growth, through working on yourself, and make sure that you kind of, just rise in your thinking. You know why? It's for your own good. According to Krishna, he says, until your mind is at sattva, rajas, and tamas, you will not be qualified enough to understand self-knowledge. For example, suppose you have a Brahmana. You and I are now working in a lab for cancer research, right? Brilliant work. But what is your intention? Why am I doing this? For my own recognition. Where is your focus? Self, self, self. And what does that do? It denies you sattva guna, which you desperately need for clarity of self-knowledge, and it reinforces rajaguna. It reinforces that selfish, self-centered person. So now what the Veda says is you can convert your varna and make it a spiritual practice so that you can understand the self-knowledge. And how do you do this? While giving a massage, while helping a person, while treating them, while doing your cancer research. Where is your intention? What can I do to help the society? This is all to the glory of Ishvara. What does that do? Automatically, it brings more sattva guna in your mind. Every single time you think like that, it makes your mind more sattvic. So look at this. Totally unrelated to spirituality, and yet in your job, you're making your mind spirituality friendly by simply changing the intention from me into let me give back to the Lord. It's that simple. Or look at this. You have a simple worker who's putting on caps on a bottle, like a Shudra. Now you say, how do you convert that into spiritual practice? Think about this. How do you convert a monotonous job of simply screwing caps on day by day on a bottle? How do you convert that and use that to make your mind more sattvic so that you can understand self-knowledge? Krishna said it's very simple. Think about changing what would you change your thoughts? Change the efficiency, how you put on this, little cap on. Maybe hold it differently with a different pressure. Have different thoughts, bring in some thoughts and then entertain those thoughts while putting on the caps. Think of anything. And you turn something that mundane into introducing more sattva into your mind. This is brilliant. No matter what you do, you convert it into a spiritual practice. So this is the whole journey of these three gunas. Whatever I do, I can convert that into a spiritual practice. Krishna then closes this verse and he says, Tasya kartaram api mam vidya kartaram avyayam. I am the author or the designer of this varna. I am the non-doer. I am the ever-changeless being. So what does this mean? It means Ishvara says, I designed the varna system in all beings. I designed a dharma system, which keeps us all on track. It keeps us all unified. And I also designed a feedback system that will let you know if you're wearying off course. I designed all of that. And having designed all of that, I remain Ishvara all the time. You play in your little playground because the whole thing is me. I always remain Ishvara, like zeros and ones. No matter how you reshuffle zeros and ones always remain zeros and ones. So all this is happening in me. I always remain ever myself, changeless. And who is the one that's reshuffling these zeros and ones? My intelligence. You are. You are the coder. You are the coder. See now why I love coding? Because it's so similar. You are coding Ishvara, and Ishvara is delivering you a program. And then Ishvara says there's a bug in the system. Can you blame Ishvara now for that bug? No. You have to look at your own coding and say, I need to fix this. And when you do, you press play again, and the bug is gone. So Ishvara just gives you feedback how well you're aligned to the whole system. And so this is what Krishna wants to show you, that you ultimately sculpt your own life. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.